Well, I don't know if you all saw this story in Intelligencer, the women leaving the new right. Now, I feel as if we get these pieces every couple years where women on the right realize, I guess, how deeply the men they have aligned themselves with hate them. Now, in my title, I wrote, right-wing women discover misogyny. It's not that they've discovered misogyny, but I think it is that the levels of misogyny, the levels of hatred for women is so obscene and is so public. You know, it's not, it's Nick Fuentes. It's Nick Fuentes, who is a rising star in this world, who advocates for raping and torturing and killing women. It's openly hostile misogyny rather than paternalistic misogyny, right? Where it is so in their faces that for some of them now they have defected. But it's not that they've necessarily defected and they are card-carrying leftists. They're kind of in this in-between where they recognize that the Pete Hegseths and the Andrew Tates and the Nick Fuentes and this new frontier of right-wing men and the new right, I guess, wants to kill women. Your body, my choice. That they advocate openly for being incredibly violent towards women. I don't know. I was thinking about this. Welcome to the new right, same as the old right. It's just even more obscene. It's even more palpable. The just absolute hatred of women. I don't know. It's the kind of thing that I wish women who are teetering on the edge or perhaps are on the right would find a stream like this, would find a community like this. Because one thing about being on the right is that it's very lonely. The manosphere is incredibly lonely for so many of these young men who have been bamboozled, who are being taken advantage of, who are being manipulated and their wallets drained by these grifters and these men who are making a lot of money off of selling them this anger. Now I'm not getting into the whole like male loneliness epidemic, because it's also true for women, right? A lot of women who are very isolated, who find themselves in this space and they're surrounded by men who, as long as they go along with things, as long as they uphold these men, that they recognize that they are second-class citizens, but at least their cage will be bigger than some of the other ones, that they can exist there. But then when the cracks start to show, they have nothing. They have nowhere. And I don't know. I just feel like we always talk about the manosphere. There's a new documentary that Louis Theroux just put out. I'm going to watch and give my thoughts on it probably in the next week. And we talk about, we talk about these men, these misogynists at the ones who are at the top of the top of the pyramid here, and then all the alienated and lonely young men. And we never, ever talk about women. We don't talk about women being radicalized. We don't talk about the women who are in these spaces and how to first recognize what's going on. I mean, this is something that I was talking about at this YouTube event. And I use Candace Owens as an example a lot. And one of the women I was speaking to, she goes, yeah, but people know that Candace Owens is right wing. I said, no, they don't. She rebranded to be a pop culture commentator because it opened up the audience that she can access. And a lot of women do very well in these areas like pop culture and celebrity news and wellness and true crime and beauty. And it draws in a lot of women viewers. Like their audiences have a pretty high female demographic, and nobody's really looking in this. They're not looking over here. They're not seeing what's happening. A lot of people are fooled by Candace's rebrand, are continuing to be fooled by it. Yeah. Anyway, let me just read through a little bit of this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but essentially this piece interviewed a number of women who were celebrated pundits, who were podcasters, who were very much in this deep in this right-wing world. They also mentioned Ashley St. Clair. And here's one woman realizing more and more her discomfort with how openly sexist and misogynistic the right is. Over time, the language of new right misogyny got way more tuned into red pill type stuff. Among young MAGA men, there ceased to be a huge difference between self-understood trads, Christians who tend to patronizingly venerate women's special contributions to family and religious life, and rageful incels who see women as conspirators in a plot to deprive them of sex and status. Both groups, Anna says, came to see women as these objects you can use at will. So if you want a marriage, if you want a lifelong bang maid, then you can pursue that. And if you want to just have endless hookups, you can pursue that by using these dating tactics within the red pill sphere. Men in the movement who rejected these ideas were nonetheless hesitant to criticize others. The principle was no enemies to the right. So normal conservative men, the good husbands and self-understood nice guys refused to police the vanguard. So I think essentially what she's saying is, look, there's the traditional conservatism that is often rooted in Christian religiosity, and it's very women belong in domestic work, okay? Women belong in the home. They need to be mothers. The whole angel trope, the perfect angel trope. Women need to have children and raise those children and be good wives and mothers. Okay. And then you have the new right. You have these guys like Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes who are advocating for banging women by taking them through force. That you just rape women and rape as many women as you want, and that's your power as a man. And so you have these kind of trad conservatives like Anna, who is the example here, who's saying that these conservative men who come from kind of the older school of conservatism have now combined with the new conservatives, the new right, and that they aren't policing any of their behavior. And so what's been happening is more and more extremist language, more and more of these guys like Nick Fuentes coming to dominate on the right and set the tone and set the standards. And what it is your body, my choice type of literally the type of stuff that he says. Anna's career and income depended heavily on conservative patronage, and by then she and her husband had several children to support. For a while, she experienced the ramped up misogyny as primarily an online phenomenon. But sometime during the Biden administration, young men began repeating repulsive manosphere talking points in her presence. that women are rational and manipulative, good for little but sex and childbearing. They assumed, she says, because of how I presented myself as anti-feminist, as based and unbothered, that I was not like the other girls. They demonstrated their fealty to MAGA by enthusing about repealing no-fault divorce, gender discrimination laws, and even the 19th Amendment, which gave women the vote. Often enough, women in the movement would agree. That was your ticket, your entry point. It's a leave your dignity at the door type of thing. So essentially for conservative women like Anna, she's like, look, I was totally fine when things were more traditional conservatism, but now it's reached the point of, as she says, leave your dignity at the door, that women should have no rights, that women should not be seen as human beings, which, again, the irony being that conservatism, even in the traditional sense, as she says that she, why she was a conservative, still does not view women as human beings. But it's now this very, even more extreme, very overtly hateful type of language where, yeah, that's what happens. You give them an inch, they go for the fucking mile. Okay. And they trade in, they're in the business of rage. These guys who work in media, who are on the internet, who are amassing millions of followers online, they are in the business of using the most extremist language and advocating for the most abhorrent things that they can. Handmaid's Tale. Right. Usually she silently endured her peers' soliloquies on women's deviance and the urgent need to curtail their rights. When she did manage a retort, it was not well received. Oh, yeah, because that's how it goes. Remember, you're in a cage. And by aligning with conservatism, you are saying, I am still in a cage, but at least it's a bigger cage. And at least it's a cage where there's a hierarchy of cages and I'm a cage that's at the top. But the second you say anything that you even try and peer out of the cage, it will not be well received. Because remember that you become a part of the problem the second that you see any problem. On one occasion at a professional dinner, a male acquaintance spewed out some really gross things about women. She declines to share details for fear of being identified, and she gently pushed back. He freaked out. He was banging on the table, screaming at me, saying, "Nobody cares what you think, woman," using the word woman as an invective. She worried that he would become violent. No one at the table came to her defense, men or women. You almost don't realize what's happening until 5 years later, Anna says, when you look back and you go, oh gosh, I was being used. She also blames herself. I was too frivolous with ideas. Anna is not alone in this revelation. In the Trump era, many young women, like the giddily foul-mouthed MAGA influencers and inauguration attendees depicted in this magazine at the start of Trump's second term, see the Cruel Kids table, were attracted to the new right because it felt less constrained, stuffy, and dogmatic than the left. Perhaps it was. A little sexism was a small price to pay for entry to a party without woke scolds policing the playlist. For women especially, contempt for feminist pieties, if deftly channeled, could be one's ticket to stardom. And what had feminism done for them recently except tell them to work harder and feel bad for wanting to be skinny? Or worse, trick them into waiting too long to have babies? Now, a growing group of right-wing women, both prominent personalities and loyal foot soldiers, are waking up to find their inclusion, and the MAGA movement was contingent. Sexism wasn't merely the price of entry, it was the theme of the party. You know what's so frustrating to me is when women like this fundamentally don't understand feminism because they've been listening to the wrong people, or because you have women like Hillary Clinton who held herself up as a feminist ideal, and Hillary Clinton is anything but a feminist. We know that. In 2016, I didn't know that, but we know that now, right? And it's frustrating because when we talk about ballerina farms, when we talk about these right-wing conservative women who are prominent because they have podcasts or they have YouTube channels, that's called a job. Okay? That's called work, that you are promoting an aesthetic of conservatism, but that is a job that you are able to do because of women in the past and women now who are fighting for your labor rights, who are continuing to fight for, the rights of women under patriarchal capitalism. And what happens with these women is they go, ew, feminists, ew, the left, women on the left, or just everyone on the left, they're so gross, they're so woke scoldy. It's the stereotypes of feminists and feminism. And so then they go, this is where I belong, on the right, where I get to, it's cool. It's cool to be here. That was a big thing with how MAGA transformed itself with younger people, is that they pushed to make it cool. It was like the whole aesthetic of being MAGA is you're at the cool kids table, the cruel kids table. And now, like in 2020, like in 2016, like many examples of when this happens, you have women going, oh, wait, this is not cool. Hold on a second. I'm on the side where we are promoting more and more explicitly that women are not human beings. It's like, okay, I'm all for curtailing feminism and taking down these woke scold feminists, but I would like to have some rights. I would like to be seen as a human being. There was also the anti-establishment victims at first. I can't get in a bar with my MAGA hat on. Right. It's the feeling like a victim and believing that it's the left who victimized you, and then finding a spot on the right and thinking that it's all great and this is where you're meant to be, and people are so much cooler, so much more chill. And then you realize that it's not just that they're trying to put you in a cage, it's that they think you should be raped, tortured, and killed. Like, if that happens, then she fucking deserved it. It will always be so wild to me that this whole thing, like, conservatives will never be cool or counterculture, all the things they try to present the new right as. But a lot of people fell for it. A lot of people have thought, oh, this is the cool aesthetic. And that's why in MAGA, you have younger MAGAs fighting with older MAGAs, because they're like, you are the ones who make this not cool with your ear bandages and your stupid outfits at these rallies that, Daily Show correspondents are interviewing you at. Young women drawn to the cause in recent years for more traditional reasons, religious convictions, pro-life politics, a preference for conventional gender roles, are having a rude awakening of their own, finding that MAGA sexism is not the same as the old patriarchy. On the new right, male licentiousness, violence, and domination are not only acceptable, but valorized. When Andrea Dworkin wrote about the draw of conservatism for women in the 70s and 80s, says Katya Ungerman, who writes about online culture under the pseudonym Catherine D., there was a certain plausibility to the pitch. Ungerman has never been a conservative, but many of her friends are young MAGA. How the fuck are many of your friends young MAGA? And she has observed the milieu closely. Dworkin wrote that right-wing women were not deluded. They see the world they live in, and they are not wrong. In exchange for female submission, the conservative men of Dworkin's era offered a refuge from the physical danger and chaos of modern life. Or so they said. The right, she wrote, tells women the rules of the game on which their lives depend and promises that despite their absolute sovereignty, men too will follow specified rules. That part is gone, says Ungerman, at least in the segments of the movement with real momentum. The men of the new right not only fail to be protectors, she says, they're not even symbolically protective. They're very hostile. Yeah, because they hate women and they're not hiding it. Sorry, but at what point in history has society not valorized hypersexual men and demonized claiming to protect the sanctity of female sexuality? Well, I think what it is like traditional conservatism, which prioritized the nuclear family, which prioritized a heteronormative society where marriage is valued, where children are valued, where the man is a breadwinner and the woman runs, keeps the home, has a warm meal put on the table. And this new generation, these new right leaders, they are advocating, yes, for gender norms, for these kind of tenets of traditional conservatism. But more than that, it's the difference is that they are encouraging, because they have so many followers who fall under, say, the incel type. What they're advocating for is, you all want to have sex. You're not having sex. You want to have sex. So you just take women. You just take women and do whatever you want with them. Maybe you marry them, maybe you fuck them, but you can just do, and you should do whatever you want with women. So it's not so much this kind of traditional conservative values of marriage and children and the focus on that. It is, as I just explained, benevolent sexism versus straight up women hating. And a lot of these men too, who spend so much time with other men, right? Like that's, we talk about that, is that they love men. They love men. They love their boys. That's who they respect and revere. And with women, that they are very, very, very explicitly teaching how to use women as objects. And that there are two different paths here of the, okay, traditional, find a wife, have children, that kind of thing, or fuck as many women as you want. And if you have to do so by force, then do so by force. According to the conservative women I've spoken to over the past several months, all at one point active in MAGA, some active still. Girls, what are we doing? How are you still? Come on. Some active still. Anxiety and disgust over sexism has been steadily growing since the beginning of Trump's second term. It has spiked since last fall, they say, when the movement began openly embracing Nick Fuentes, whose visceral hatred of women makes the male chauvinists of the past seem enlightened. Some women have dropped out publicly. They include Based Politics co-founder Hannah Cox. As someone who used to think feminism was a dirty word, nothing depresses me more than the rise of true misogyny that we are seeing on the right. That's what she tweeted last year. The former tradwife influencer Alice Lanny and Ashley St. Clair, the former Turning Point USA brand ambassador who had a child with Elon Musk, who's fighting her for custody. St. Clair is now an advocate for women facing online abuse. Now, I will say, too, I think some of these women are aware that the second they turn, the second that they try and even peer out of the cage, they will, of course, face so much harassment and abuse from these men who, for the time being, they are on the same side of that, you know, will not will not turn and directly target them. They see, you know, how Ashley St. Clair, what she's been experiencing. But others are keeping their heads down. They vent and seek counsel in private group chats and among trusted friends and fret about whether to leave their red-pilled boyfriends. Leave him. Leave him. Leave him. Here's a PSA, okay? Leave your red-pilled boyfriend. Leave him. Girls, I promise you, you run, you leave his ass, there is a world out there for you. There are communities for you. There are people who I promise are very cool, actually cool, because they believe that women are human beings. Get out. How do we, wait, somebody said, how do we, how do we combat this mentality and win right-wing conservative women back to the left? I mean, look, you offer them a path. You offer them something else that is so much better. And what I think about is that Hassan has successfully brought a lot of young men out of the alt-right, out of the right wing, taken them out of the pipeline and brought them over to his community, to this side of things. And what I think for women is it is important to have that for women as well, which is why it frustrates me when we only talk about men. We only talk about the manosphere. We only talk about men who have been radicalized. We only talk about young men who are alienated and isolated and blah, blah, blah. And we don't direct any attention to women. We don't have the same media coverage. We don't have the same promotion of women on the left who offer these spaces, who offer this education and this community so that women aren't being radicalized, so that women aren't continuing to move to the right. The woman's sphere. The woman's sphere. And even looking at the numbers from 2024 with Gen Z, yes, the biggest difference was young men, young white men, classic. The bigger shift with more and more young white men moving to the right. But there were a lot of young white women as well. Young women, specifically young white women. In 2026, we will be discussing the woman's sphere. And I think here's the thing. You do the same thing. It's the same approach with some additions, because we're talking about women, young women versus young men. But a lot of these young women abhor feminism because what they think feminism is, because who they think feminists are. And a lot of young women, like young men, like so many people, are struggling. They are reacting to their material conditions, to the circumstances of their lives, and they are not being met with politicians and policies and people who are speaking to that reality. And it's why they are vulnerable to shifting to the right. And it's also, of course, the open normalizing of bigotries and the you are a victim because you are a white person, that has been very effective speech as well. But I think it's for young women. I think for young women, it's offering them something else where it's like, hey, you live in a world that you probably increasingly feel hates you because you're a woman. And rather than align yourself with this side that is openly perpetrating that in some of those vile ways, is only making your life that much harder, come over here. Got to give him that Barbie movie monologue. I mean, look, I gave my thoughts on Barbie, all right? But I will say, I know that Barbie and that Barbie monologue was for a lot of women eye-opening. That's kind of feminism 101 for them. Just hearing someone even acknowledge the reality for them and go, and it gave them something. Like, I have read stories where people talk about like their mom that went and saw Barbie and how much that speech meant to her, and she came back and was talking all about it. And anyway, I know that not every piece of media is for everyone, and Barbie was not something that was going to be life-changing for me ever, but I know it was possibly an entry point for women who otherwise had never really considered that things can be different and should be. The Lewis doc kind of highlighted that the women in the orbit of these manosphere douche were suffering the same lack of material needs being met, like they would participate and put up with misogyny in order to make money. So many women I know are becoming skeptical of medicine and going off birth control because of these sneaky right-wing women creators. Yes. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the men, okay? These women, these TikTokers, these podcasters, these YouTubers, they are at the top of what is essentially a multi-level marketing scheme. They are the ones making money off of selling this shit. But most of the women who are being harmed the most are all the levels below. Right? It's everything that's not the top of the pyramid. It's a shit funnel. Yes. Funnel shit down. And there are not enough women in those spaces to counter that, because this world does not take women's interests seriously. They do not take women seriously. Always has been the case. And it's left this gap for these women who can make a lot of money off of selling this crap to other women, off of radicalizing them, off of, turning them towards this ideology. And there's just nothing, it's not being paid attention to enough. It's these same anti-vax moms having their kids homeschooled because of the goddamn woke agenda. It's always something that's being sold to them. The Barbie movie is kind of what made my mom pull away from Fox News. She heard constant slander about the movie from Fox and how it was woke. After seeing the movie, my mom realized they were blowing basic women's rights into some bizarre spectacle. Yeah, it's because the woke is used to label everything that the right hates. And it's become this really, it just has this toxic association. And wait, what was another thing? What was another example? Fuck, it was some movie, and a lot of people were like, oh, I thought this was gonna be woke crap, but then I watched it, and people who were calling it woke crap were exaggerating. They weren't being honest. I can't remember what it was. Unfortunately, my friend fell down the anti-vax rabbit hole. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, it's tough. Was it Sinners? No, it wasn't Superman. No, it was something. I can't remember. Anyway, many of these right-wing women with large followings are hesitant to antagonize their fans or jeopardize their income by going public, so they carry on. Others without as much skin in the game are simply drifting away and doing something else. That's the other thing too. When you build your audience, and that audience is extremely right-wing, is very misogynistic and sexist, if you start singing another tune, then your audience turns on you. Then you worry that you will lose your audience, you will lose your income. So they just keep going. It's like they built this cage around them, another cage, the chud trap. Anna hears frequently from women who have dedicated years to conservative media who feel politically homeless but can't decide whether to quit. When I ask if there's a way to estimate how significant the problem is for right-wing women, she says every single woman in conservative politics knows exactly what I'm talking about. And if she says she doesn't, then she's lying. So they are aware. They are aware. They know. I saw somebody make this point, which was that women on the right assume, they think that it's not just that right-wing men are misogynist, it's that everyone is, and that people on the left are just virtue signaling. That those of us who are pretending not to be misogynistic, that we're fighting against misogyny and sexism, that it's really just virtue signaling. It's fake. That's why you hear that used all the time from people on the right, and it's because they can't believe that anyone would actually formulate authentic values that are not just in service of the grift. And so I don't know. I think there is that element of, it's very cynical. It is a very cynical view of the world. And I think when women on the right see, let's say, men on the left who are revealed to be abusers, who are revealed to be using progressive language to disguise their own misogyny and sexism, that it probably reinforces that idea of, oh yeah, see, this is just how it goes. It's just a matter of who's grifting better off of it. Yeah, I mean, it is very cynical, and it is why I always will, there is no room on the left for bigotry. Okay. We cannot fight against misogyny and sexism if we are just doing it in a different form. Okay. If we're doing it and it just looks, it's the same thing when we call out the Democrats, where, oh, the Democrats pushing the same thing as the Republicans, but just a little more civil. They just use nicer language. It's important to actually show that we are protecting, that we are advocating for marginalized people, that we are all about intersectionality, that the working class is not, we're not dividing that up and that we're not just using, we're not just, we aren't using the excuse of, oh, well, this woman has abhorrent views to unleash our misogyny and sexism. You know, that is something we see a lot, where it's like, oh, okay, it looks like you're just kind of trying to, it looks like you're using this as a way to be misogynistic, but because it's some woman who has abhorrent views, it's okay. Or like to be racist or tactical misogyny. Since late last year, the conservative movement has pulsed with debate over how to draw acceptable moral lines for its febrile coalition. How much anti-Semitism is too much? How racist is too racist? And are limits even feasible without transgressing a central MAGA shibboleth that the First Amendment protects, first and foremost, one's right to be a loathsome asshole? But to the chagrin of the women I've spoken to in recent months, almost no one involved in this dispute is talking about sexism or contemplating its electoral, much less moral downsides. Rather, the MAGA misogynists, commentators, and politicians alike have barreled ahead. The most powerful people in Washington are embracing policy ideas that would have scandalized previous generations of conservatives, reopening arguments that were settled a half a century ago or more. In August, Pete Hegseth shared a video in which Christian nationalist pastor Douglas Wilson advocates repealing women's suffrage. Over the past 2 years, conservative lawmakers in Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas have considered restrictions on no-fault divorce, entertaining the idea of forcibly keeping women in unwanted marriages. Trump's White House has proposed dismantling the Department of Labor's Women's Bureau, rescinded Biden-era guidance for employers about workplace harassment, and eliminated a 60-year-old measure designed to ensure federal contractors abide by anti-discrimination laws, all enabling a return to more hostile workplaces for women. When you look for it, at the center of every problem diagnosed by the MAGA right, there's a woman with too much power. Fuentes, previously at the far fringes of acceptability, increasingly seems to distill in his shameless, bombastic manner the essence of what men in the MAGA movement believe. The man is the fucking man of the house, and the man should be the man of the conservative movement too, he said on his America First show in December. I know I'm the fucking incel loser, but we need to put women in their place, and it starts with our political movement. I think the other thing, too, that Nick Fuentes has done is he has turned the term incel around. He proudly identifies as an incel. And I think in the past, it was always this, I'm an incel. Nick Fuentes is open about the fact that he's a virgin, that he's never had sex with a woman, that he's an incel loser, but that's where he draws his power from. Right? Like that's his whole thing. He's like, look, I am an incel loser, but that's why I am here with the right set of rules that we need to implement in order to put these bitches in their place. SpongeBob voice, I'm an incel and I'm proud. Right. And it's like, you shouldn't feel shame for that. You know who should feel shame are these women. And you should only feel shame if you are not doing something to force these women into their place. It makes him more relatable to his base to identify that way. Yes. And we've seen the effects of it. In February, Fuentes went further. Women are made to be fucked. Women are either mothers, whores, or nuns. There are no female philosophers. There are no female inventors. There are no female generals or billionaires. They are mothers, whores, nuns. End of list. That's what you can be. This is a scary fact. The conservative blogger Rod Dreher has estimated that around 30 to 40% of DC GOP staffers under the age of 30 are Fuentes fans. And while those numbers are impossible to verify, the self-proclaimed king of the incels is undoubtedly among the most popular right-wing podcasters. Since his Twitter account was reinstated by Musk in May of 2024, his followers have grown from 168,000 to 1.2 million. His nightly broadcasts on Rumble often earn more than 1 million views. A former Trump administration official told me a lot of junior staff most certainly are Fuentes listeners. I mean, again, it's impossible to verify those numbers, but you get that, you can get that sense. It's like you look at the White House, you look at who is running Donald Trump's social media team, who's posting video after video of a compilation of COD kill shots with blowing up Iran. And that type of personality, that type of like juvenile, disgusting slop fuck, like that vibe, that's Nick Fuentes. Like, no doubt who Trump has surrounded himself with in this second administration it's that world. The bowling one was disgusting. Yeah, it's 100% Groyper posting. Yes. That type of behavior will make you Secretary of War. Fuentes has said he's never had sex, but like his alleged sex trafficking friends Andrew and Tristan Tate, he advocates for the reassertion of male dominion by force. The number one political enemy in America is women, he said on a recent stream. They are the ones that are hurting the fertility rate. They are the ones making us sympathetic to poor people, which are also brown people. They attack every man as a rapist and a pedophile, and they're henpecking and controlling all the men. He went on, Hitler imprisoned gypsies, Jews, communists, all of his political rivals. We have to do the same thing with women. They go to the breeding gulags. Everyone is clutching their pearls about Fuentes' anti-Semitism, and rightfully so, says Anna, but no one seems to give a single shit about the fact that this guy hates women. Young women on the right increasingly encounter his ideas among their professional peers, for whom the notion that women are garrulous, instinct-driven creatures incapable of higher-order thought is self-evident. The consensus is essentially that women are subhuman, and I mean that quite literally, sub-rational, non-agentic cattle. Have we tried beating the shit out of him? I think we women should get together and beat the shit out of little fuckers. I'm just saying in general, you know, I am not pointing to anyone specific. I just mean back in my day, you know what we used to do? We used to punch Nazis. We used to punch dudes who would say this kind of stuff. I'm just saying that's how we used to handle. That's how we used to handle things. You know what? No, fuck it. I don't care. Twitch, you want to ban me for saying that, and you're not going to ban Asmongold for advocating for mass killings? Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm over here saying that we should beat the shit out of Nick Fuentes. Go ahead. You're so scared. You're scared of me, even though I'm just a stupid bitch. These men are like, people would be scared that I would say that, even though I'm just a woman. I'm just a woman. What am I going to do? Who cares? Who cares? Did you hear about that lady who's planning to beat at least 1,000 abusive men by 2028 or something like that? Well, the only version of that I've heard is women planning to have sex with 1,000 men. I haven't heard about a woman who's planning to beat. I've had an awful week. That sentence has helped my. I honestly, it's one of those where what Twitch decides to ban and not ban is so absurd. It is so ridiculous. I'm like, go ahead. Go ahead. Her name is Ronnie Red. Wait, what?
German soldiers.
Wait, I need to know. Ronnie Red? I Google. Oh, that was a joke about Bonnie Blue. Okay. Hold on a second. I was like, wait a second. No, she wants to straight up beat abusive men. I don't know if chatters have the link. I think she's Nigerian. How come when I look up Ronnie Red beat up 1,000 men, the first thing that pops up is an AI image of I don't even know what this is. I thought it was Ed Sheeran for a second. I don't think that chatter is joking. I think that chatter is referencing something that sounds like it'd be a joke. The joke was the name because Bonnie Blue. Hold on a second. Wait. I think we're confused here because we have chatter who may have seen something that is a joke, that is a reference to Bonnie Blue having sex with 1,000 men. But chatter is not joking about it. Is like, no, I did see this. I'll try to find it. Hold on. No, she's real. I swear. Okay. See if you can find it. Alluring Skull is a video of her and some girls throwing a traffic cone at a guy after they saw him punch a girl. Okay, wait. Okay. We've got stuff coming in.
The business where I beat men. So you are in a violent relationship. This boyfriend is trying to scam you. You're confused about him. He's cheating on you. He's beating you up. It's actually given me more money than any content creation gig has ever given me. Like, I've gotten so many clients from TikTok, and I'm so grateful, you guys. Shout out to you, babes. I love you. My girlies from TikTok. You guys have really, really kept the lights on in my house. So yeah, I beat them up properly. I have a group of people that I work with to like beat them back into like shape. Do you understand? These men who go out and drink and then they are at a random kafunda, they just point me towards the kafunda. Do you understand? Jump on a call with me. My number is in my bio on TikTok, as a matter of fact. Wake me up at midnight to beat a man. Please, give me that opportunity. So I have a goal. In all this, I have a goal. I want to be able to beat at least 1,000 men by 2027. Do you understand? So I feel like if I can do that as a businesswoman, that's good. That's good enough. So I'm also trying to work with the police. I want to go to the police and ask them to help me. After beating you up, I want to be able to drag you to the police and say this one has been beating up a pregnant woman. This one has been beating up a girl that's underage. This one raped a girl. This one,
Oh.
I'm literally going to punish men for sure. Yes, it's a thing. It's not a joke, actually.
Why I fight men who mistreat women. Batwoman. I mean, someone's got to fucking do it, okay? Someone's got to fucking do it. She's the hero we need and the hero we deserve. Meet the vigilante influencer who is vowed to beat up 1,000 men by 2027. Not all heroes wear capes. She is incredible. My God, like, God, what an inspiration. Do you have, I love her. I do. She's Ugandan. She's a Ugandan influencer. And apparently Chriselle Staus from Selling Sunset has already endorsed the idea by commenting, support small business. Support women businesses. Support small businesses and support women businesses. Okay. The real girl boss out here. Quizzed about how the service actually operates, she elaborated, I beat them up properly. I have a group of people I work with to beat them back into shape. She's expanding her business. Unsurprisingly, followers were keen to show support with comments including, I'd love to fly you to India, all expenses taken care of. You'd hit a 2,000 person limit in a single day. Another wrote, are you hiring? Where do I sign up? I mean, look, this was, I understand this. I understand this. And when I was in my 20s, every time I would go out, this was how I operated. I took my vigilante work very seriously. And yes, there was usually alcohol involved, usually a lot of it. But I never punched anyone in the face who didn't fucking deserve it. Let me just say, okay? I'm talking men who were grabbing me, grabbing other women, throwing drinks in our faces. One guy who had very verbally horrible things that he was saying towards my sister. It was always warranted. It was always warranted. Once your M word. What is my... I don't know. I don't know. I lost track.
We saw Caroline at the dodgeball tournament. We know she's a national athlete. I mean, I always say the moment I fell in love with Caroline is when I was at the club one night and she beat the shit out of a guy.
Okay, that is not true, though. That's not what happened. Okay. No, that night, what happened... What happened was there was this guy who kept... He was very drunk. He kept trying to push past me and the other host to run inside the club. All right. This guy blacked out, kept trying to do that. We told him, no, you're not coming in. Stop doing this. Stop trying to jump over the rope. Stop trying to push past us. And Will was with his friends. They wanted to go out that night. So they were approaching this big crowd in front of the club doors. It was right when I saw him and I went over and I said, I turned to security. I was like, oh, they're good. They can come in. And right when that happened, it was a very high stress environment, very stressful moment. This guy decided to make a run for it again. So he runs, he jumps over the rope. And I had told him, I was like, you do not cross the rope. It's the one rule. You do not cross the fucking rope. So I managed to grab him before he could keep making it. And I threw his ass over the rope. And it was right in front of Will's face. And he was just like, whoa. But I didn't beat the shit out of... That didn't happen that night. The first night I met Will, I had to stop this dude who was punching, who was like throwing women down off of the like the way that this club was designed is there were these upper levels that often women would stand on and they'd have their drinks, and this guy was like throwing them down. I remember Will was like, I think that guy is punching women. So that was the first night I met him that I had to stop that guy. But the night that he is talking about here, I didn't beat the shit out of a guy. I just threw him over the rope. And that's why I have to go back to the gym. Not that I'm going to be doing that because I'm not working in clubs anymore, but I don't have that strength anymore. I feel very weak. I want to get back in physical strength, in physical shape, so that I could, if need be, throw a man over a rope again. And I am not anywhere close.
A chair thrown outside a strip club hits a man in the head and he goes down hard. It happened here around 9:20 last night on King Street in the city outside Bar 20. The man and a mate had been inside but were thrown out. One of them grabbed a chair from a restaurant next door despite staff and customers there trying to stop him, and it's suspected he was trying to throw it at security at the front door, but instead it hit his mate in the head. He recovered reasonably quickly, got up and walked away. It's understood no one rang police or an ambulance. We'll have full details. 7 News tonight at 6.
Not gonna lie, I don't think it takes much to throw a Nick Fuentes. Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is that I might not be in shape like I was in my 20s, but I could throw that fucker over a rope. Right now. I don't need to go back to the gym for that. One time at a rave I was working at, the cops showed up and arrested a guy on PCP, but then the guy got away and climbed a tree while still cuffed. I feel like at that point you gotta, if he's able to do that, kind of let him go. he's climbing a tree while still cuffed. Like, well, maybe he earned his freedom. Watch the last link. It ties into the Fuentes thing. Wait, which link? Sorry, my Chatterino only pulls up. I don't know why it only pulls up last chat. And that kid pads his suit shoulders. It's all smoke and mirrors. Oh yeah, you pat that thing down. Last one for me. My Chatterino doesn't pull up chat history, so link it again. Let me see.
Beats German soldiers.
Oh, Inglorious Bastards.
He bashes the brains in with a baseball bat. What he does.
Wish it weren't Brad Pitt.
Hey, Werner, I'm going to ask you one last goddamn time. If you still respectfully refuse, I'm calling the bear Jew over. He's going to take that big bat of his, and he's going to beat you.
Wish it weren't Brad Pitt and Eli Roth. Oh.
Take your wiener schnitzel they can finger and point out on this map what I want to know.
Yeah, which never forget when Eli Roth almost killed me and Farley. And I don't even feel like I'm exaggerating saying that. Because if I had not anticipated that the car that ended up being his was going to run through a stop sign at this intersection where people were constantly blasting through the stop signs, then I would have been walking on the crosswalk with Farley, and we would have been run over by Eli Roth. Yep.
Fuck you.
by Elon Roth.
And your Jew dogs.
Actually, we're all tickled to hear you say that. Quite frankly, watching Donnie
Where's
get
my
nasty to death as close as we
phone?
ever
Hold on a
get to
second.
one of the movies. Donnie! Yeah? Guy's German here wants to die for country. Oblige him.
See, here's the thing. We We used to kill Nazis, and now you're saying I can't even say we should punch Nazis? You know? I'm just saying. I mean, look, I do have some different views past punching Nazis, which we should do Nazis. This scene is so mean. What did they do to deserve this? Friend of the show, Eli Roth, who let me live. Yeah, honestly, thank you to Eli Roth for allowing.
Bravery.
For allowing Farley and I to live. Ash Ketchup, thank you for the prime. Yeah, see, Eli Roth beats the fuck out of Nazis in a movie, but in real life, he supports Nazis.
Teddy fucking Williams knocks it out of the park. Fenway Park on his feet for Teddy. Fucking ball game. He went yard on that one onto fucking Lansdowne Street.
Oh my god. Okay, let's see.